Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome to another episode of the Creator Compound. I'm brought with my host today, Liam, and it's an exciting day today here.
It is an exciting day.
It is exciting.
Yes, it is.
You know, we got Major 3. If you didn't know, the Call of Duty League is hosting, or OpTic is hosting a major event, Major 3, in Arlington, which is at the time of this recording today, which is super sick. Who do you think's winning? I mean, try to be unbiased, but
It's so tough. Before I make any prediction or who I want to win, it is important to also note that this is, the only esports stadium in North America that regularly and actively is put on events by a home team. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to point that out, that this is an actual real stadium with a home team that you can go and kind of visit, and it's specific to OpTic. So that's really cool, something that is only really happening in a few places around the world at all. Mm-hmm. So Brazil and in Europe. So I love that. So And then who do I think is going to win? It's really interesting, right? FaZe looked really good coming out of Major 2 there, but we just took care of them in qualifiers. Can they make adjustments before then? A lot of questions around Ghosty and his role, and he was obviously super frying in challengers, but numbers have looked like an in-game leader's numbers. That's really the best way to put it, right? They're not the best numbers, but they're the numbers that are needed probably to win. Mm-hmm. And so we're gonna see. If I had to take a hot guess right now, my hot guess would be that it's like a three horse race right now, and I would say it's probably outside of FaZe, who we just took care of. I'm still really interested to see how we deal with subliners, how we deal with Toronto and OpTic. So those are my three teams right now that I'm just like circling my head. How about you? Where's your head at with that?
Oh man, I'm always big. I'm a big underdog guy who I think is gonna win. Man, FaZe is really good, dude. They're just they have three what I would argue top 10 players. They got Abizi, Cell, Simp. Those guys are just insane. But like I said, I think they're gonna win. But I want an underdog to win. Give me Paris. Give me Las Vegas Legion.
Yeah,
That's what I want to see. I want to see them make a miracle run in the losers bracket and just, wouldn't it be just cool to see Clayster win another fucking major?
That would be really cool.
Nice.
That would be really cool.
That would be nice. And I don't think it's going to happen. But
I'd love to see Cap and Florida.
Yeah.
Because I think Cap is one of the most talented players, Capsidal. But I think that the teams... And that's the interesting part about the whole OpTic situation, right? You brought in somebody from Challengers into a top 4 team who had just placed top 4.
Yeah.
Versus Cap was on Boston Breach originally. They had to move some pieces around, try some different things. He ended up out to the bench, and then eventually I think off the roster, but then went to Challengers and just fried again with his team, I think on Team Omit, and then now he's back on Florida Mutineers.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that Cap has a good series with Mutineers, with Havoc and everybody else down there.
Totally.
Fellow. I think that's a really talented that's my underrated squad. That's the underrated squad right now. Is to look for Mutineers to maybe have a pop-off game if that chemistry was working for them.
You know what they say, man. OpTic can't play Florida in the LAN. And it's just dude, I hope we don't have to play them because for whatever reason they inherit superpowers or something to just fry us off the map. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, so super exciting. We got Major 3 coming today. Obviously, this podcast is brought to you by Botisimo. If you're ever looking for a stream tool, a multi-platform cloud-based stream tool, Botisimo is the program for you. You should totally check it out. I use it in my streams. So I say let's just go ahead and go right into it. We're going to try and keep this short because we got a lot of stuff going on. So we only have about 4 subjects to talk about, but they're all pretty cool. They're all cool. And, starting off, I guess we have to talk about TikTok again, man. I feel like we talk about this stupid app every single podcast, and
Good and bad reasons, maybe.
good and bad, good and bad, some good, some bad. But right now, this seems pretty bad. So, a dozen U.S. senators unveiled bipartisan legislation Tuesday expanding Joe Biden's legal authority to ban TikTok nationwide. And that's just in the latest of the congressional proposals threatening the social media platform's future. So, the legislation, it's called the Restricting the Emergence of Security Threats That Risk Information and Communications Technology. Oh, that's an awesome acronym. That spells out restrict.
There you go. Bang.
That's amazing. I thought that was going
They
to be
work
like...
real hard on that. They take
Yeah.
prose. They're using dictionaries. Every vocabulary word they can come up with. There's 15
You know
people
they
that came
hired
up
a
with that.
marketer for that one.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But yeah, they're going to try and ban TikTok. This is not the first time they've tried to do it. The reasoning is because the federal government is fearing that Americans are handing over sensitive personal information or communication records. But in the case of TikTok, they say that China's national security laws could force TikTok's Chinese parent ByteDance to provide access to TikTok's U.S. user data. So because of kind of the authoritarian and semi-communist regime in China, they could be forced to give up that U.S. data, whether ByteDance wants to or not, because, again, like it's all regulated by the Chinese government.
Yep.
What do you think about that? I got thoughts, but I want to hear what you got to say.
I was just like, when you first said it, I was just like, so this means Triller's making a comeback, right?
Oh,
like
God.
that's my thought, is like when somebody gets when oversight decides to take over and tell somebody that they can no longer do business, especially as a market leader, you're going to have these emerging smaller businesses that have the opportunity to be able to take advantage of that missing piece in the market. So I'm interested to see like what Rumble will look like, what Triller will look like. That to me is more interesting if this actually does happen. Remember we talked about this like it was about 3 years ago. Different president in office. He wanted to do the same thing. Couldn't quite get it all the way through. I'm interested to see with a president who has bipartisan support, maybe if that will at all be able to move it like a little further along. I'm not sure, but it's very interesting because for you to tell government employees that they can't have something on their phone, I can just tell you from working in the AT&T store in Washington D.C. where I dealt with lobbyists and government employees,
a lot of politician people,
so many people, but people who worked for the government, right?
Yeah.
So they had government phones, so I would see their government phones, and people use their government phones like they use anything. So you're going to have to turn it off, like literally make it unavailable to them from like the app store through some like back, authorization of some kind. So that's going to be a lot harder than they think it is, but it is probably a good thing because, like, for example, I just saw some app last night. It was like a Candy Crush equivalent type app that said they'd pay you cash to play their games. And, it was one of those very interesting shorts where it was like, yeah, all these influencers say they make money, but they never show you receipts. Here's the receipts. And so they show the receipts of them getting paid. It was a few $1,000s. But then I clicked into the app and like went to the app store to like, figure out what was going on with this app.
Right.
And right in there, it says like it's going to go through all your data. It's not going to be able to be deleted from your phone. So like, and that there's some 12-year-old, 15-year-old, 18-year-old who just downloaded that and put that in their phone, and now
Just like as an impulsive decision, you
Yeah.
see an ad and you're like, oh, this looks cool. All right,
it's
I'll
like
download it.
it's like anything that sounds too good to be true. You're just going to be like, oh, I can make $1,000 playing this game like for the next couple of hours. Like, cool, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to try that. And so I just feel bad that like it's a similar tactic that it sounds like is even starting to happen like with other companies and other places, but it's all in the marketplace. It's all in the Google Marketplace. It's in the Apple Store. So I'm just interested to see like what kind of oversight they're going to get or cooperation they're going to get from the companies like an Apple or somebody else who's does make revenue and does make money off of people being on their phones or being associated with downloading those apps and things like that. So
yeah, and, I mean, in my opinion, like, I can totally see where they're coming from, because TikTok does collect an obscene amount of data. It can. I was reading this article that said that TikTok can track you through cross devices. So, like, if you download TikTok on your phone, you scroll TikTok, and then you open TikTok on your desktop PC. That data can also be tracked.
Yes.
And that's crazy to me, because when you log into TikTok on just say iPhone, for example, it says, hey, do you want this app to track you? And you have the option to say yes or no. I don't know how much of a difference it makes, especially with TikTok standards where they're just collecting an obscene amount of data. But on desktop PC, you don't have the opportunity to do that. There is no pop-up that allows you to disable the ad tracking or the software tracking that comes along with using TikTok on a desktop application. That's a big problem. And so I think that's even scarier than just having it on your mobile device. I'm not familiar with how Android works, but at least with Apple security, it's pretty good. It shows you, it is very direct with you that they have to show, they're like, we have to let the user know from Apple's perspective that you're going to be tracked, because they have nothing to gain from that. That just pisses users off. And so it's going to be scary, but in the long term, I don't think it's going to affect any sort of social media. The user experience on TikTok is, at least from the short form aspect, it's probably the best there is. Like, if you compare it to YouTube Shorts or Instagram Reels, or God forbid, Spotify just did their own TikTok version of music, it's still objectively the best platform. But that doesn't mean that, like, YouTube Shorts and Instagrams are making strides, because, I'm usually a TikTok user, but out of curiosity, I went to Instagram Reels, and I don't use it very often, and it was pretty good. It was not bad. The content there that I was being recommended was, like, pretty decent, actually. And I remember using it 6 months ago, and that was not the case. Like, the content it was serving me was not great. It was, low quality. It wasn't relevant to what I was looking for. But now it seems to be working a lot better. YouTube Shorts is still just, like, not quite there yet. But long term, I don't think this is going to matter too much, because everybody's cross-posting their content anyways. So, it is what it is. It's a little scary to think that the government now has to intervene in social media content. But I get it.
It's a hit for creators, because creators, that is definitely the best discovery funnel right now.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
100%.
You're gonna take a hit, because you're gonna have to go and find a really optimized strategy around Reels, which has, like, a slightly older audience, but I think has enough data points now to, that's why I think you're finally getting, like, relative.
Relative
view
content
of the algorithm of what you're being showed for your first 10 videos, sort of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I think is really interesting is, if TikTok's gone, YouTube should have so many data points now that should be pretty dialed in, but I still think that it's just so new to them in relation to, like, they've got long form so dialed in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, their long form is as dialed
like,
in as TikTok's short form
beat
is dialed in.
that.
Yeah,
Exactly.
you're never gonna. It's so hard to, like, beat the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be interesting to see if they get to that point. But, and this is kind of I think a good segue. There are going to be other platforms, and like you just said, Spotify just did its own thing.
Mm-hmm.
There are other platforms that are going to try and innovate off of this ban.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to introduce that?
Yeah,
next one to us?
I thought you were gonna carry us right into it.
I was thinking about
fully
it, but I
prepared.
don't know. You do such a good job.
No, that was perfect. That was perfect.
Next time I'll take it the rest of the way.
But yeah, so the new streaming service Kick Streaming, they, or at least Trainwrecks, who's one on the board, or an advisor or a founder. It's
ASMR.
Nice. Nice. They Trainwreck announced that Kick is going to start doing a short form content section similar to, like, Twitch clips, but it has more of the usability of TikTok.
Yep.
So if you don't know, when you go on to a Twitch stream, you can click onto the user's profile and it'll show you like either highlights or past VODs or videos or like the most popular clips that viewers were clipping during the live stream. And I honestly think it's a great idea. Like, it's been a good idea. It's worked very well. But the problem is like getting to that content and like navigating to it is really difficult, because it's in like this weird area you don't use very often. Or you don't access that specific aspect of the platform. And so by kind of combining the two, like the way I imagine it is like Kick will have a mobile app and it'll have on the bottom, they'll have the user navigation bar and it's going to say live streams and then like for you and then like the short form content section and then like your profile. And I think that short form content section is going to be actually really important because like imagine if you stream on Kick and you have a really good stream and you're like, oh man, this was a really great clip at like 35 minutes. Imagine if Kick was just able to format it into the vertical content automatically and you could just post it immediately to the short form timeline on Kick. I think that's a great idea.
Yep. That would make it the best. That would make it the best platform features wise.
I mean,
of the two, if you combine the two together, that would be like the best platform.
Realistically, like if you think about it, like, and I hate that I'm admitting this because I don't think Kick has necessarily the legs to compete with Twitch or YouTube or TikTok Live, but it's an appealing offer. I mean, you think about the creator splits, you think about what they're doing to support relevant content, support creators. The only issue holding them back is that like group and demographic of viewers and creators who are, I wouldn't say necessarily not brand friendly, but definitely a liability and a risk, right?
Yeah.
Namely Aiden Ross.
Sure,
I mean, he's a good creator and he's entertaining, but he is vulnerable to just so many different risks associated with his content. So, but I think the short form is going to be really, really impactful.
I think you're going to see a lot of people that decide to hop on that platform because I do believe that in the next like 60 days, I should say, after that feature comes out. So I don't believe that is out yet. Let's say they have that available for us like April or May.
Yeah.
I think by June or July, you're going to see an overwhelming amount of clips that are coming out on all short form platforms that are actually started and generated on Kick. And, you know, the one disadvantage that Twitch has given itself is that, like, there's no discoverability, and we've talked about that that's the biggest issue.
Yeah.
Well, now if you put a short form content piece next to that, now I have, and like you said, there are definitely AI algorithms right now that, and we've experimented with using a few of them that will actually chop up it for you, right? And serve you up your best clips, sort of a thing. You post those, you know. Now we're talking about the most entertaining person or the most fun person or what have you. That's going to be the person that wins, not the person who's best at like
editing
generating
and, like,
content or just the person who's putting in the massive amount of hours on the platform. Like we all know that doesn't really work right now on Twitch. Like you need to find your funnel to bring people over to Twitch to monetize on them through subs or whatever you need to do. So hopefully, but I do think, hot take, 60 days after it comes out, a lot of what you're going to see on TikTok, everything is going to be from Kick, as well as I think you're going to see creators, or you're going to watch in real time creators that had no followings, that had like 10 people watching them.
Yeah,
will go from 10 to 100 people in like a day or two.
It could happen in real time because think about imagine you're like, oh, I'm going to post a short form Kick piece like before I go live.
Yeah. And
then you start streaming and an hour after you upload that piece of short form content, like it just blows up, right? People start watching it it starts getting put in everybody's timeline, and then the immediate transfer of being able to just like stay in the app from the short form to the live stream. That is very powerful because it requires like no user investment. All they have to do is swipe.
Yep.
which is insane to me.
One swipe, and then it's a live emblem, so they'll see the live thing over top of
click it.
your logo. Click it. You're transferred over from short form to long form, and boom, you just transferred a customer that hopefully you can monetize on.
Oh yeah,
big deal, guys. Big deal.
Yeah, so we'll have to see how that goes. I'm curious, but yeah. So without taking too much time here, I want to go into our next topic here. But and this is a rumor, so it might happen, might not, but it seems like it's probably going to happen. But XQC is set to enter Valorant esports with North American Challengers team. So obviously XQC, El Goblino, you know him, you love him. You can't really understand him at times, but you think he's cool. He's in talks to acquire the team Turtle Troop, which I think
Great
is
name.
funny,
Great name.
funny as hell. I love that name.
I would come up with graphics all the time about Ninja Turtles. That was like every graphic that I would put out on a T-shirt or on anything would have Ninja Turtles on it.
Dude, fucking love Ninja Turtles. They're doing a Ninja Turtle Call of Duty skin, I think.
Oh, that'll be dope.
It's like in a samurai.
Definitely buying that.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah. So I think
Add it to cart.
that's gonna be tough. Yeah. So this is kind of XQC buying this team. It follows in suit with a couple other creators. Disguised Toast. He created his own Valorant team, which plays in the Challengers League. And then Moist Esports just acquired a Valorant team as well, which is co-owned by Moist Critical and Ludwig.
Yep.
And so it's kind of following this interesting trend of creators. Like, it's almost like we've come full circle where when esports and content creation and gaming started, it was owned by the content creators. And then as we progressed and things started getting more serious and more lucrative, and it became really profitable to be an influencer or utilize these influencers, which was around like 2017, we had this influx of just cash, just
VC cash.
come into the esports and content creation scene. And now we're kind of receding back from that aspect. And now we're going back to the content creator owned esports orgs like we were starting out. And I think this is a beautiful full circle kind of moment here, because like I think this is interesting. Like having content creators own like challengers teams, which if you don't know in Valorant, it's like two steps below like the big one, the 30 teams. So there's the VCT League, which is 30 partner teams.
Yep.
Then you have the Ascension teams, which are like a step below that.
Yep.
And then you have challengers teams,
Yep.
which are a step below that. And I think it's such a cool concept that these content creators are like supporting the scene through like these grassroots led teams.
Yep.
I just think it's cool, and it's like it gives people an investment opportunity to like really like the associated players and the creators of the main creator that they like. So for example, Ludwig bought the Valorant team for Moist Critical for Valorant. He is a great guy. He's liked by a lot of people. He's known. He's trusted. That brand association will surely carry over to the players as well.
Yeah.
And the Moist Esports brand. So
Yep.
I really like it.
It's so this is like I like this move so much because I think this gives you a real idea and kind of being able to talk about a lot of different things that have transpired in esports and like why and where we're at this point. You have your Ludwigs, right? You have Charlie, those guys, and now you have XQC. All of those guys have been getting paid mega bags for the last 3 years, really. Like really, it's been like 3 solid years of them getting bags. I feel like. Mm-hmm. So, and I'm going to drop some like insider info knowledge. So we're definitely going to clip this into a short, but so, I know for a fact that those guys on sponsored streams about a year ago. So I'm sure that this may have gone up a little bit, or maybe because things are cooling off in the economy, maybe went down slightly, but each one of those guys for a sponsored stream about a year ago could charge $50,000 for an hour. Okay. Now, there's a popular video that Disguised Toast came out with about 6 months ago that described how much it costs to have a Valorant team. Ludwig did a little breakdown of that, and you can check that out on his channel as well. So that breakdown discusses that it's $500,000 to start or own one of these Valorant teams. So now every single person that we've talked about, Disguised Toast broke that down first. He made that first initial investment of $500K. Then Charlie and Ludwig basically said, "Hey, we'll split this up," and each put $250 in to start their own. XQC is clearly going to have to spend around or semi about that amount of money. But I mention all of this because he probably made that bag in like 2 weeks. 2 weeks,
Something
like truly,
like
two weekly 1 hour streams, and he's already close to having the bag.
But I think it's also, there are also other associated costs with running an esports team, even if it's just in the Challengers League. So like you have their salary, right? They get paid on probably a biweekly or a monthly basis. You have their transportation, travel costs, expenses like that when they have to go to tournaments, when they have to fly places. You have, like, I would say like gear and equipment for them to like whatever they need. And I would also assume that they have a lot of their just regular lifestyle expenses paid for, like their rent, they probably have a food stipend or something like that. So there's also like these other associated costs with it. But, it's insane to me. While I love this move, it's still insane to me that this we're not even talking about like an ascension. We're not even talking about a step below the pro league. We're talking about 2 steps below. The fact that it's still $500,000 to buy a team. Look, I think that's a bit ridiculous.
You need coaches, you need players.
That's right. Yeah, you need coaches
adds
as well.
up.
And it's just like, it is a lot of money.
But they make so much money. Like that's my point, where it's like they all could have this fail and then just straight out buy another team in the same year and still make like $5 to $10 million like gross for the year for these guys. My point is that I've been really into recently Drive to Survive, the Netflix series on F1. And F1 has always been a sport where you have to have massive companies or brands or just straight up billionaires go in there and fund these race teams, because it is hundreds of millions of dollars, if not at least tens of millions of dollars, to run one of these F1 teams. So these guys, these billionaire guys that end up investing in these F1 teams, are just the biggest enthusiasts of cars and love spending money, right? And the reason why I'm mentioning these guys is I love where creators are going with this, where it's like they got their bag, they got their money, like the billionaires,
right?
But they're going to invest it in their roots and what they really love, which is esports, and they can do this and keep funding this like forever, just the same way in perpetuity, the same way those Russian billionaire, whoever billionaires, can do the same exact thing with F1. Yeah. So I love the fact that they're taking some of their earning power that they've gotten over the years. These guys are easily going to make like $10 million a year probably this year from all of their monetization strategies and pipelines. And those guys are going to take 5% of it and go start a team. I think that's a great decision.
I think
that's what we need, and I think that the more of these guys that decide to become owners, the healthier esports orgs look, the healthier the leagues will look, because now you'll actually have people that are starting to convert, and you've seen it a little bit with like Scump and CDL, and there'll be a watch party like later today where Scump will have as many views as the Call of Duty League.
Right.
And that's an advantage to the Call of Duty League and to every one of us who's a fan of Call of Duty, because if Scump's watching, eyeballs are on it, the league is healthy. Yep. If XQC buys a Valorant Challengers team, people are watching Valorant Challengers. If Moist and Charlie and Ludwig, decide that they want to have a Mogul Male Moist, esports team, that's the best thing that's going to happen for that team. So, and then I think this also looks good for bulking up Valorant because of the next subject that we could go into.
It's got some competition,
which has got major competition, and this was all I could see in my feed for about 24 hours when the clip dropped. CS:GO 2 was leaked. I want to say just a couple days ago, maybe it was about a week ago, but and it just has people just wiling because we may have covered this, I believe, like in episodes 2 or 3, but CS:GO set a record for its most players
just
playing
like 2 weeks ago.
just like literally a month ago. So
Yeah.
it's like you're talking about peak playing viewership after 10 years of the game, and then they perfectly drop. Like, you want to talk about and I'm such a fool. I should know the developer for CS:GO off the top of my head. Valve is genius. Microsoft, please. Studio 343, please.
Something like
Go and look at Valve, take notes, study, master what they're doing, and go do this for the next Halo, please.
We're begging you.
You're supposed to time things out to where, like, you get peak viewership, you come out with something new, either a feature or like an entirely new aspect of the game that's exciting. You're going to peak viewership again, and you're going to ride that off into the sunset as you start to collect. Like, there's going to be tens of millions of dollars in DLCs to be able to get all the new guns and everything. Like, CS:GO already had one of the best flourishing item economies and DLC economies in all of gaming, and now you've got that super fire clip, and so I'm just jazzed. What about you?
I've never really been I have played CS:GO before. I think I have less than about 50 hours on it. I wasn't like a huge fan of it, but I understood why people really enjoyed it, because it's simple, it's easy to understand, it can run on a potato PC, and it's fun. And the achievement of winning and earning in that game is so satisfying that, like, it is no surprise to me that it has kept up its popularity for the last 10 years. However, this is interesting because we don't really know what exactly CS:GO 2 is going to entail, right? Yep. Some people are under the assumption that it's just going to be an engine swap. So we're going to go from the original Source 1 engine, which was released in 2004, and we're going to swap it to the Source 2, which just recently came out. They just implemented it in Dota. And other people are suggesting that it could be like a whole new experience. And while I like the idea of that, the thing that makes CS:GO work so well is the fact that, like, your gameplay experience can be varied, but it's the same experience every time. It's just that gameplay cycle is so addicting.
Yep.
And I think, in my opinion, the CS:GO 2 it's gonna be big, but it's just, I think, going to be a quality of life and health update. So I assume they'll put out probably a new map or something, 1 or 2 new maps.
For sure.
They'll probably balance some weapons. They could potentially add in a new weapon. The last time they did that was the revolver in like 2013, 2014, something like that.
It's a while ago.
A while ago. Maybe a new weapon. It says it's evident from the code that apparently they might be adding 128 tick servers, which would be really nice for competitive play. But we don't really know. But I am excited. I will try it out, obviously, because, why not? If I like Valorant, I'll probably like CS:GO as well.
Some of the best fans, best events in all of esports come out of CS:GO.
Yeah,
so
100%.
I'm just really excited that that's like you said, a health update that was majorly necessary.
Yeah.
And it just shows that and this was interesting. I just heard Nadeshot comment about this the other day. It's like, if we were still on Black Ops 2, how good would Call of Duty be today? It's like, I don't know that it would really be that good.
I don't know if it'd be that good. Yeah.
So it's like, but CS:GO is still pretty good, like, to the day, like you said, for all the reasons that you just named. So it's just super interesting. Where does this take the fan base going forward? And do you get more people to convert knowing you just had peak play, viewership play, and gameplay like a month ago? You know, like, that's so healthy, and that competitive scene is going to be so healthy for events moving forward that it gets me really excited anytime you can fit 3,000 to 10,000 fans in a stadium
building,
and just let everybody go at it. Now, I will say, I hope there's a little bit of something to do with pacing in the new game. I don't know how or if there's anything they could do with that to make the pacing a little bit quicker, because it's the only thing about CS:GO that reminds me of, like, baseball, where it's like a little bit of a slower game. And I haven't watched enough Val competitively to be able to say that it's too different. I do think, though, if I'm not mistaken, those Val events do go off quite a bit quicker. I think it's less maps.
The most recent one that they had in Brazil was insane.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, it was a long match, though, because it was between Fnatic and Loud.
Okay, yep.
And it was the grand finals.
Biggest teams, yep.
Loud is down 2 games, right? You need 3 to win.
Yeah.
Or two games. You need 3 games total to win. They were down 2 games.
Yeah.
Fnatic was up 2-0. They come back. They win 2 more games. And then on the 5th game, they Loud goes up 10-3, 11-3.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh, it's over. Right? Loud's got this in the bag. They're the best team in the world. They had the Brazilian crowd behind them. Fnatic comes back from an 11-3 deficit.
No way.
Goes to OT at 12-12, and they win.
No way.
You should have seen it. It was the most electric event I have ever seen, dude. It was like unlike anything I had ever seen in esports before. It was just insane.
Oh, they had to have rushed Fnatic out of the stadium because Brazil will throw apples and tomato, throw anything they can grab at you. And I just say that from the point of view of like they're super passionate. I've watched Brazil and their sporting events for a long time with soccer and UFC and a couple other things that they do like jiu-jitsu and they're super passionate fans. So if they had a reverse sweep going and were literally a taste away from it and then got kind of reverse swept the other, you know what I mean? Like you're up 2-0.
And then you go back to reverse sweep.
And then you get reverse sweep on the last. Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
It was the most insane thing I've ever seen. I was screaming the whole time. So,
but that is a perfect example of like CS:GO is going to be really healthy because of this.
Yeah.
So I hope that Call of Duty or a couple games like Halo can figure out like what's the proper cadence of adding a certain amount of features and a certain amount of like, you know, graphics and everything to the game to make it look new and cool and exciting.
Yep.
But have it really be to the benefit of making gameplay better and really, really making competitive better. Because at the end of the day, if competitive is good, if the game is competitive, people will be playing.
Yeah, people
and
come
people
back.
will be watching.
Right.
And the problem is that we've had some games that have not been able to stay competitive because they're just not good games.
Yeah.
But CS:GO has done a great job with
that. So crazy stuff. Can't wait to see what happens. Hopefully it comes out soon. It's already in like the NVIDIA graphic driver files for updates and stuff. So who knows? But yeah, that's I think that's going to do it for this episode of the Creator Compound. Again, this podcast is brought to you by Botisimo. If you need a multi-platform, cloud-based chatbot and stream tools, go to Botisimo. It's the best in the business. I use it myself, and it supports the podcast. So please check it out.
Meet creators, meet sponsors. Join Botisimo today.
Join Botisimo. So that's going to do it for this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed. Feel free to leave a like and a subscribe down below. It really helps us out. Really helps support us creating this content under Botisimo. And we'll see you in the next one.
See you in the next one. Peace.